Well, thank you all for tuning in. It is MG. Welcome to the Reimagine You Lab podcast. And you guys know how we do. It is another wonderful episode. I want to thank all of our family and friends and colleagues, our neighbors who tune in each week to join me for a wonderful show, you guys. And we've got a wonderful guest that's in the show that's joining us today. And before we dive in, I just want to say, well, first of all, let me say hi to her because I just think I'm supposed to say hi when somebody's in your house. So, hey, Yara, how are
Hey,
you?
Michelle, how are you?
I am fantastic, girl. Thank you for being with me today, and I am thrilled to have you in the room.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, truly.
So you know what? Let's just jump. We jumping on in. So before I do that, because y'all know how we do this. This is not like any other show. I tell everybody I like to go beyond the bio, which is I am going to tell the guest gets the opportunity to tell us who you are, where you're at, what you do, and how you do it. So you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it's on you, girl.
Okay, well, I am Yara Banks. I'm the CEO of BNX Business Advisors. I'm an author. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a child of God. I am in Jacksonville, Florida. However, my clients extend throughout the entire United States. I am an integrated HR consultant, which means I mix business and HR together. What else you need to know?
Girl, whatever
I'm
you
a
want to tell.
wife. I have 6 kids. Let's see. I'm a karate champion.
A karate champion. Now that I didn't know. That's a nice fun fact. How'd you become the karate champion?
My daughter was taking karate classes, and when I used to be really, really heavy, Michelle. So we can talk about change. Let's just keep it real. Let's just rip the little pearls off, right? So I used to weigh almost 350 pounds, and over the years lost a lot of weight. And when I was the heaviest, the one thing that I could actually do without dying to try to work out was that Taibo class. You remember Billy Blanks in his tight leotard?
Billy Blanks, yes.
So here I am, over 40. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do something for me. I work primarily in my office at home, but when I'm out with clients, that's a whole nother story. But so it's like I wanted to have a balance and a space for me that didn't include anybody else. So I secretly started taking karate classes during my lunch hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I say secretly because my husband, nobody was none the wiser. I would take my lunch break, go do my karate, come back. Nobody knew because it was all about me. It wasn't about anybody else.
Yeah.
So then they finally found out around Halloween, like 3 months into it, after I'd taken my first belt competition, broke my board, kicked some behind, had a good time. Yes. And so that's how they found out about it. And then it was funny because it was Halloween and I came home in my uniform. They thought I had my daughter's uniform on, trying to be funny. But I was like, nah, this is me. Here goes hers. This one's mine. So anyway, over the course of training, you start to get to increments where you test for different belt levels.
Right.
The last time I tested for a belt level, unbeknownst to me, I take Tang Soo Do karate, which is Korean karate, and it's a world association.
Okay.
And so whenever you take your test, they have to submit your paperwork and your test and your abilities off to the World Association for them to approve that you can now go to the next level. Well, unbeknownst to me, when they submitted my paperwork, they thought I did so well, they asked for a double promotion. So I actually got a double promotion. At the next level. Not only are you going to get a double promotion, and they had never done that in their studio of over 30 years.
Wow.
They said you're going to get a double promotion, but we also want you to represent our studio at the World Championship. I was like, I appreciate you. You guys are so sweet. This is great. No, thank you. Like, I've never taken any sports in my life. I've never competed physically for anything. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Well, we had to go anyway because my daughter was going to compete. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm doing it. Why? I'm doing it. Why? Because how many people at this age and stage in life can say they did it? All I got to do is go. Like, just showing up is the challenge. That's the win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
You know, over the course of training to get to that point, my daughter chickened out.
What?
Yeah. Well, I'm already on the hook. So somebody got to do something.
You gotta go.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I went. I cried the whole entire time. I was just like on Facebook sobbing, like, yo, I can't believe I'm here. I made it. I did it. All you people who think you're too old to do new stuff, that you're too heavy, that you're too whatever, like you got to do it. And so my thing to myself is get there. That's number one. You won. Yeah. 2, do your routines without messing up. I don't care what the score is. If you get there, show to yourself you can do this. You have won. I get there. I do my routine. Forget to bow. Now, come on now. Forget to bow. Karate championship.
Yeah. Bow. Yeah, you got to bow.
Yeah. Okay. So when I realized, I was like, should I do it now? No, just keep going. Just keep going, And so we're done, and their judges are doing what they're doing. I'm looking around because I'm so happy it's over with. And they start calling out names. And next thing, I have won a bronze medal in the world championship. My first competition out. So I'm a bronze medal winner in the world championship for karate.
Girl, you go head on with your best.
That was just this July. That was like 6 months ago.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So there's my change story. That's my win of the year. That one is my win of the year. It's a lifetime win. Like, so they're like, nationals is coming up. I'm like, I'm there.
No, I love that, because a lot of times people will not do it thinking so far ahead, like, no, I don't want to, I'm afraid to, but you know what, you did it.
I did it.
Nobody can take that from you.
Never.
That's in the record book.
And I don't know anybody else who has done that. So, like, but it goes to a bigger lesson. And the lesson for me is sometimes you have to push past fear. Sometimes fear will have you stuck. It will have you paralyzed. And all of the things you woulda, shoulda, coulda, you didn't because of fear. Right. Oh, and so that was my initial reaction. But I was like, how many people in this age and stage, like just the fact that I got invited, right? Not to regional, not to national, but to the world championship. So then you start with the imposter syndrome, right? I'm gonna be fat. I'm gonna be the only one out there fat. These people out. So you get that, and then I'm start thinking, well, maybe they'll have some pity on me because I'm fat and I'm still out there doing it. Then I was like, well, maybe they'll treat me harshly or bias or judgment because I'm heavy and I'm old. Although I competed in my age group, so let me just say that. Okay, so we're all old, right? Yeah. So all this imposter syndrome starts playing in your mind, and that happens so oftentimes to us as people, but particularly to women. So this is a lot of reason where the failure to start, right? The failure to start anything. It's not going to be perfect. It's not the way we wanted it. I had higher hopes. I'm waiting for the perfect time. Like all of these reasons that we don't start stuff. That's the reason a lot of us don't start business.
Never start. Absolutely. That is the number. You know what? My husband and I just did a podcast a couple of weeks ago. The fear and the podcast was 7 reasons, the 7 biggest reasons why people don't start their businesses. And fear was number 1.
Absolutely, all day long. And then it's where I'm gonna get the money from. Or if it's not where I'm gonna get the money from, it is, but what about my benefits? Mm-hmm. So that's a whole other podcast. We could talk about how people are so reliant on this so-called steady paycheck. That's really not steady.
It isn't. It isn't. Their paycheck can change at any moment.
Absolutely, it can. And if COVID didn't teach you that, I don't know what will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I love this because you know what? I was going to ask you about share a personal or professional experiment that led to an unexpected success. And I think you've already answered that.
All right.
That was a good one. That was a good one. But you know what? I think, just hearing you thinking about, people, if you were talking about, if it didn't teach you in COVID, that there are no steady paychecks, because who knew that was coming? I remember in March going to we had an event that we were leading. Mm-hmm. And that was the last event that we led. That's in that month. And then that was it for the rest of that year. And nobody would have known. You wouldn't have been able to tell nobody. We couldn't have planned for it or anything. Right. But you know what? You are of the personality that I like. Not that I don't like other personalities too, because I do. but talk to me a little bit about, because some people have a tendency, when we have natural proclivities to keep us in certain spaces. But how do you personally stay motivated when facing setbacks or failures? Because everybody didn't come out of COVID in okay, exactly. A lot of people didn't. How do you personally, and even as a business leader, thinking about how do you personally, and then dealing with other business leaders, how do you keep yourself motivated?
Okay, so me personally, for my personal life, I know, first of all, I told you I have 6 kids. They're watching
Yeah.
me. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. All day.
So they're watching me. All right. But I'm not going to say I'm not taking no for an answer, but I've always like, there's got to be a way to make this happen. There's got to be a way to make this happen. Now, that's when I was younger. When I got older and really realized who my God was,
yeah,
and what he does and what he has done, what are you afraid of? Like, you can't be like, you can, but then you have to have a check. So I'm gonna give you a real life story. It was a January 3rd, and I called my girlfriend up, and I was like, hey girl, and I had the snot bubbles going. This was like the millionth time I quit my business. I'm going to get a job. This is baloney. This is horrible. Nothing's happening. Like, I'm going to go get a job. And I'm snot bubbling. I'm on the phone because I know she's going to let me vent. And she says, do you know who God is? And I hung up. Hung the phone up on her.
She's a good girlfriend.
Why? What else is there to say? Yeah, but really? There's nothing else to say, because all I needed was that reminder. Yeah. Stop trying to rely on your own shoulders, your own strength, your own patience, your own will, because it's not enough. It will never be enough. You've got to have that help. So that's on a personal level how I deal with it. Now, on a business level, it's my why. Why do I do this? One is I feel like I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to change workplaces, because people do have to go to work. We need to, but we need them to be safe and secure and happy and feel valued and all that other stuff, right?
Right.
But bigger than that is about building a legacy, not just for my children.
Yeah.
I'm not talking necessarily money. What I'm saying is, if my kids can sit and watch me sit in this room in my house, in my office, and build something from nothing, if nothing else they can take away is if mommy can do it, I can do it. Whether they choose to or not, they're going to get that mindset that I watched my mama do this.
Right.
It can't be that hard.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's the biggest why for me. So when I'm thinking, I'm going to go quit, I'm going to work at McDonald's, I'm going to go apply at Target, I'm going to go, whatever the case may be, I still have to remember they're watching you. They're watching you deal with adversity. They're watching you deal with stress. They're watching you deal with good times and bad times. How do you handle it? How's your temperament? Are you able to pivot to find a different way around it? That's what they're watching. And that why keeps me motivated.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. You know what? That is a big motivator, because more is caught than taught.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They absolutely watch.
Yes.
And most of the time, what I have found, even with my own adult children, young adult children, a lot of it gets emulated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They become a lot of them become what they see.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you know what? So, you know what, Yara, in the space that you work in, like, because, just thinking about and kind of going a little deeper as we talk through, working with businesses and stuff, because you work with a lot of business leaders and things like that. I know you've been doing talks and presentations and stuff with a number of organizations and things like that. What are some of the strategies and things when you're working with leaders and stuff? Because a lot of times there's been a theme that I have been hearing about with this quiet quitting, right?
Yes.
Organizations have people that are like, you know what, hey, I'm about to bounce. Right, like people were just saying, you know what, this isn't necessarily me. What are some of the things that you're hearing and seeing, and what is causing some of that, or what are some of the insights? I know just with you being in that background, while I've got you here, I just kind of
Right.
feel like I want to lean in a little bit.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, people talked about the great resignation, right?
Right.
Everybody didn't quit their job.
Right.
They quit working for you because you didn't do right by them. They had no loyalty. They had no buy-in. They had no reason to be there other than the paycheck. But as soon as they found that paycheck somewhere else, they were out.
Yeah.
Quiet quitting isn't just leaving without a 2 weeks notice. It's giving up while you're still there. You come, you put in your 8 hours. You don't give an extra ounce. You don't work with the team. You do what's on that job description. Everything except for the part that says and other duties and then you go home. You don't raise your hand. You don't volunteer. You don't participate. You don't engage. That's quiet quitting too. Okay. People don't realize that. You just give up. Why is that happening? That's happening for a number of reasons. One of it is there's no buy-in. Come to work in your bubble, do your thing. You have no idea what the left hand and the right hand are doing. People say, oh, well, it's none. I got told at a job one time, my boss would tell me, I'd be like, well, why do I do this? Because you're supposed to do that. But like, what happens when I do that? Mind your business. That was his thing. Mind your business. Mind your business.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. No collaboration.
Because they're in a tunnel. And the reason people do that is A, they don't know the answer themselves. Or B, they really want you focused on what you would call production, getting those numbers. You don't have time to worry about that other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't value my insight, my thought, or the fact that I'm a person who has feelings, opinions, knowledge about things. You're stifling me, right? Mm-hmm. I innately want to do a good job. Most people do. You're not giving me all the resources. You got a raggedy system that we have to use. Is always breaking down. Your managers don't want to be bothered with your employees because they don't know how to manage. Your walk doesn't match your talk. I'm talking about culture. Oh, we're for professional development. We are for promoting within. We are for a family-friendly environment. But behind closed doors, that's not the way it plays out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a number of reasons that lead to this quiet quitting you're speaking of. But I'm a firm believer that if you give somebody all of the resources they need to be successful, that you show and you invest in them beyond a paycheck, that you invest in them, their professional growth, their educational growth, you show them that they are part of something bigger than themselves. Mm-hmm. You explain the organizational strategy, and you say, this is your part in it. You show them how it benefits them. You got loyalty. You have people who feel valued. They're going to offer their opinion. That's where your innovation comes from. Mm-hmm. They're going to be engaged and want to get along with one another. That's where your productivity increases. That's where they start to build relationships. So even if I might want to quit, but man, I love my team. What if I go somewhere else and my team's not this good? Right?
Yeah.
And those people that you have invested in and gave resources and you value their opinion, guess what they're doing? They're now ambassadors for you. So they're going in the street talking about how great their job is because the company believes in them. The company asks their opinions. The company invests in them. The managers know what they're doing. Like those kind of things, they're not going to quite quit. The problem is the breakdown of the alignment of the organization from the top to the bottom. The people who wrote the core values, the people who write the mission and vision are not the people who are carrying it out. And the people who are supposed to carry that forward don't understand it or don't know about it. So there's a breakdown. There's a misalignment. You start talking about like human resources, for instance. People think human resources is strictly there to be administrative. They do paperwork. No. If that's all you're using them for, you are sadly mistaken. You are hurting your bottom line. You are losing out on a ton of money. Every rump that goes in a seat better have a return on investment.
Yeah.
You better strategize and say, okay, I need 5 people to fill these seats. There should be a return on investment for those 5 people. You should have a plan for them. You should have a plan for their development, for their growth, what their production is. How are you going to Utilize them as a resource to help grow your organization. They should not just be rumps in a seat.
Yeah. No, that's good. That is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just the person to talk about it. You are just the person to talk about it. I'm so glad that you are here. That's good insight. That is such good insight. I think about all of the things that you said, and you've been in organizations where you see or have experienced organizations where you have experienced that. And so, you know what I wanted, can I ask you a little bit about, I see something in the background there. I know that you've got a project that is going to be coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
And before we share a ton of details about, but I just have to ask you about it. Tell me a little bit about the book that you have been working on, Yara, that's going to be hitting next year. That's coming out soon.
So I'm glad you asked. Here it is right here. All right. It's called The Executive Blind Spot. How misalignment with HR will cost your bottom line, will affect your bottom line. Why? Okay. Again, people think HR is supposed to be just administrative. At BNX, we believe there's 3 levels of engagement. First, strategic. That's your forecasting, your long-range plans, your organizational structural goals. That's what goes into strategy. Okay. Then you have the tactical level. That's all hands on deck. Oops, somebody had a complaint. Oops, somebody hurt themselves. Oh, we got a new system coming in. We got a short-term project, 3 months, 6 months, all hands on deck. And then there's administrative. If you have a hedge fund, right? You hire a hedge fund manager, and all you allow the hedge fund manager to do is read your bank statements. Are you getting a good use of the hedge manager? You want the hedge manager to be able to do a lot more than that. And so the problem is HR has been painted in a box as a whole to say we can only do that administrative level, but they're missing out. There's other levels of engagement. When they have a seat at the table, when you say, hey, I want to go to Botswana and open a new office, HR people say, here's how many people you need. This is the budget for your head count. This is how much you should charge. This is how many hours they should be able to put in. This is how much productivity you can get. This is what the immigration laws are. They're going to be able to tell you everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. If you look at your budget sheet and say, hey, how come your balance sheet and say, how come there's such a decline in the income for the auto parts department? Oh, that's because of all the turnover. Well, talk to me about the turnover. That person should be able to tell you the root cause analysis of that turnover. Is it poor management? Is it lack of benefits? Are they stifled? Are you not giving enough resources to do their job? What is going on? And so the people inside, we always say HR knows where the bodies are buried. They got the good tea in HR. They got that good tea. You need to have those people plugged in to find out what is going on in the organization. Obviously, you run a company, 200, 300, 10,000 people. As a CEO, the C-suite is not going to know what the boots on the ground know.
Right.
HR is that liaison. Help them, empower them to get the information to bring back to you with a plan. How are we going to tackle this? How are we going to handle this? Oh, you have a plan? You want to do this? All right, let me go back to my desk, come up with a strategic plan on how you can get these things done and what resources you need. Remember, human capital is resources. They're an asset to the organization, the biggest asset.
Yeah, because they deal with all the human capital.
I'm sorry?
I said because they deal with all the human capital.
Yes, ma'am. But the human capital is the asset.
Yeah.
You can't get nothing done if you don't have people.
Exactly.
We all know that. You can't get it done. Okay, Mr. Secretary or Mr. CEO, me and the secretaries are going, what's going to happen? Right? So you need those people. You need them. You need them sharp. You need to sharpen them. You need to give them resources. And guess what? Don't even get me started on succession planning. If you do it right, from the time you interview somebody, they'll retire. They say people don't do that anymore. They don't do that because the organizations aren't built the way they used to be. Yeah. The importance is not necessarily on the people. You nurture them, grow them, create a path and a roadmap for them to succeed within the organization. Then when people do leave, the people who retire, the gatekeepers, you'll get somebody else in there with that information. It won't be a big gap in productivity or knowledge base because you'll already be preparing people to take the next rung on the ladder, right? So there's so many different ways you can come at this. You've got your succession planning. You got employee engagement, making them feel a part of something bigger than themselves. So they have something to hold on to, saying this is our plan, but that plan includes you too. And here's the part we want you to play. Tell me whatever you need me to do so that you can be successful in your role. I got you.
Yeah. You know what? So, Yara, you bring up a really good question, because I think sometimes organizational leaders, I think sometimes they're confused or concerned about how to do that effectively. You know, sometimes the succession planning, sometimes how do I help ensure that individuals that I lead feel like they have that path for succession and growth and leadership and things like that, because sometimes people don't know how to pass it down. If they didn't get it, then they don't know how to pass it down, and that kind of thing. How would you tell, just for the audience, the listening in, share a few tips on how do you do this well?
You have to grow up your middle managers.
Okay. Give us tips.
Yes, they're the buffer, right? They're the buffer between C-suite and the boots on the ground, and then the buffer the other way around, right?
Right.
The problem is people get promoted into leadership roles because they've been there for a long time, or they did really good in the job they have now, with no forethought as to just because I'm good at computer science at my desk doesn't mean I can lead a team.
Right.
People will take on that challenge because of the promotion and the money, not really knowing what they're getting into.
Right.
So one of the things I always propose to organizations, do you have a leadership development track?
Mm-hmm.
And that's beyond just checking people's timesheets and like communication, emotional intelligence, strategic planning, change communication. Communication. How do you
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Performance review, performance enhancement, performance development. How do you deal with difficult situations?
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with your biases. All of those things have to be encapsulated in this leadership development track.
Right.
I have one at BNX and we just call it lead forward, but basically it's, I'm a manager, now what? Right?
Yeah.
Give them everything they need to be successful. Ideally, you'll start this before you promote them. So you'll know the ones who are really interested in being leaders. So that's one thing. And I'll say this again, your walk has to match your talk. Just like kids, all eyes on you. So you're saying, I value diversity, I value young people, but then on the other side, I see you not hiring, dismissive, whatever. It's not going to be in alignment.
Yeah.
You have to really set the standard from the top down about what the culture is supposed to be and then walk it out. Yeah. Now, this is not anything that happens overnight. You can't just send a memo and say, okay, everybody, we're going to start acting like this. It's something that's ingrained and then woven through the fabric of the organization. But everything starts with a plan. You got to have a strategic plan and a communication plan. I'm going to make these changes, and we're going to communicate how these changes are made. We're going to communicate why we're doing it, how we're doing it, how you're involved, and what's in it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And I think that's key, because it has to happen it has to happen, right? So just like you said, there's a plan, and then how that plan is going to be communicated is essential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of times we do these annual surveys as employees, right? And we write down our opinions and we're all gung-ho about it. And then it's time for another one. You haven't even addressed what we said last time.
Yeah.
But then the managers will look at the results and go, we got that. We already have that. We've been doing that for a year, blah, blah, blah. The people don't know it because you didn't communicate. Hey, we read your surveys. This is what you suggested. We're listening. Here's what we have in place.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation. Because after a while, what do people stop doing? They stop filling out the surveys.
Right.
Why? Because it doesn't matter anyway. Stop offering my opinion. Why? Because it doesn't work anyway. I work for an organization. I work with the organization as a client. And I suggested that they start, for innovation and money saving, start asking their people. Have like a suggestion box, but it's online, right? Put in your opinions about how we might save money in any task that we're doing or any process that we have. And if we're able to implement and save money, we're going to give you a percentage of the money we saved.
Yeah.
When I tell you the ideas were just pouring in, and they paid out some money, but they saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. You'd be surprised when you give people a voice, what they're going to say.
Very true. Very true. Oh, I love it. You know what? So thinking about that,
Mhm.
what are new theories or ideas are you currently even exploring with, going into 2025? It's a new year, it's new things that you're sharing and providing as an organization. What type of new things that you guys are sharing right now?
So we have a big campaign going on called Grow and Thrive in 25. There's several
Yes.
angles to it, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
the first angle, of course, is corporate. We want them to change some things, which is where the book came from, the executive blind spot. So there's that piece that's under that umbrella. There's another
Okay.
piece, though, for small and emerging businesses. We want you to be prepared. Like I said, from your mission and
Mhm.
vision and core values, that's the foundation of your organization. So be prepared to grow. When you do your business plan, you always put a 5-year projection. Why aren't you doing that for your people? Right? Put
Oh
it in
yeah.
stone. You don't have to wait till you actually hire somebody, right? Have everything laid out how you want it to be. Now, I'm in the government contract space. And at any time, the government can call me up and say, hey, Yara, I need you to do this project and I need you to have 20 people to help you. I'm ready, but is the next guy. Did you even
Yeah.
think about that? So can I call up 20 people and say, hey, you want to come do this project and already have everything in place? Yes. Can most people do that? No. At least have a handbook because that's your culture, right? That's your culture.
Right.
At least have those policies in place. At least have a job application. At least know how to do interviewing. Get those things set up. So the Grow and Thrive for 25 package is something we put together for people making their first hire or only have a handful of people so far to get
Mhm.
them off on the right foot. It's done for you. So we're going to give you all those policies, the handbooks. We're going to give you the training. We're going to give you all of
Oh
those things
wow.
so that
Okay.
you can be successful. You don't want to be caught off guard. If you have to grow lickety split, you want to be able to do that. And so we have a package that we put together, just that first hire, your initial hire package that has all of those initial documents that you need, that you can brand to your own logo, brand to your own colors, all that fun stuff. But it has the meat and potatoes that are compliant meat and potatoes.
Nice.
Okay, about the forms and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing that we have. I also have another organization that I am in charge of called Global Human Resource Consulting Network. We are teaching other people how to start their business being HR consultants. So that's a
Okay.
whole nother piece that we have. We're preparing them as well. So we want everybody to grow and thrive. So we
Right.
want to prepare people to be HR consultants in this world where there's a 12% increase year over year in the amount of consultants being used. So the space is not oversaturated, but you have to know how to do it, how to get the clients, how to set your business up structurally sound so you can go after and serve these clients. So there's that piece of it, our consultants network. There's the small business angle, and then there's also the corporate angle. So we want all pieces of the pie to be able to have something to sink their teeth in, to grow and thrive in 25. And it
I
just
love
doesn't
that.
stop there. We have a ton of workshops and trainings, and we're appealing to Chamber of Commerce so we can get in front of a bigger audience to be able to talk about the concepts in both the executive blind spot, but also in terms of other small emerging businesses. They often congregate at Chamber of Commerce's or
Mhm.
entrepreneur centers. So there's a
Mhm.
group of them. So have a group training where I can walk you guys all through at least the essentials of what you'll
Yeah.
need in order to make a hire. People think, oh, well, that's nothing. Just ask questions, fill out job application. Don't get caught up. There's so much more to it than that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what you get
No,
out of anything is what you put into it.
absolutely. No, you're, I love that. Tell them, let's tell them. First of all, it's going to be down in the show notes, but give them for so that they have it live. Give them your website.
It is bnxba.com. So that's BNX Business Advisors, bnxba.com. We're
Girl,
on
you
all
done brought
social
so much
media.
information.
We are, our telephone number is 904-345-0070. Again, I am Yara Banks, so I'm the CEO of that. I'm the author of The Executive Blind Spot. That's my third book, actually. And we are just here. And we also have the Global Human Resource Consultant Network, which is GHRCN.com. But I just want you guys to know, get plugged in. If you're trying to start a business, you're trying to grow a business, you're part of a business, and you're trying to really help the organization go to new heights, increase that money, that earning
Mhm.
potential. Hey, talk to us, talk with someone who can help get
Yes.
you on the right track.
Absolutely. Yara, so many jewels that you have dropped here today. So many good things. I'm excited about it. The Executive Blind Spot is coming out in January. Then you've got the BNX BA. Y'all definitely connect with her. Thrive.
Grow and thrive in 25.
Grow and thrive in 25. I want to make sure I say that right. Grow and thrive in 25. Make sure that you guys do that. She's plugging you into the resources that you need. If you haven't made your first hire or are about to make your first hire, maybe you've made a first hire, but you've got 4 or 5 other hires that you need to make. Get all of your documents, get whatever you need. Make sure that you are compliant and ready. You've got it straight out the box. So off the shelf, you got all the resources and stuff that you need. And if you are thinking about, if you're somebody who's thinking about starting the HR consulting, you got a resource now so that you can get plugged in and trained so that you're well equipped with what it is that you need.
Yes. And just one last thing, anybody listening who feels as though the things that we talked about today would help their organization, whether you want me to come and talk about the Executive Blind Spot, I can do workshops or trainings, or if you'd like to buy the book, it's also available on the website, BNXBA. You can fill out a contact form. You can give me a call. You can hit us up on social media. Happy to come out and do just that.
Yeah. Check her out. Go find her. Get in contact with her. She will help you with the things that you need. Yara, it has been my pleasure having you on. We'll have to have you come back.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We'll have to bring you back so that you can tell us how things have been going in 2025.
Yes,
happy to have had you here. So I am going to listen, you guys, y'all know how we do this. I am so excited and always glad to have you and have great guests come on and share with us the things, the insights and stuff that you've shared, quiet quitting, what's happening within organizations and stuff. And then from the corporate side, all the way down to small businesses and even those who work in either or, those who are working in leaders and of companies and such. Glad to have had you on and sharing. If you have been tuning in, I want to thank you for listening. I'm always grateful to have you here. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button so that every Friday you can get a new episode. Make sure that you are sharing this with anybody that you know if you got something out of the show today and there was something that you heard here that you think somebody else needed, make sure that you send it, share it with them, like us, leave a comment. We are so excited. I am ecstatic. So thank you guys for making 2024 an amazing year for us. And so I am grateful. So thank you. Yara, it has been my pleasure, my dear, having you in with me tonight. Have a great day. And we will see you guys back here.